Everyone loves the idea of cash flow coming in every single month, and there is no form of income more passive than investing into dividend stocks. And after much research, I found 57 companies that are currently paying out dividends every single month. So in this video, we're going to be reviewing all 57 monthly paying dividend stocks. For this list, we'll only be looking at individual companies that pay monthly dividends, so no ETFs will be included in this video. While I can't go in depth into every single company in this video, due to the fact the video would end up being hours long, we will be looking at things like historical share price performance, current dividend yield, dividend history, as well as a couple of other metrics. For every company on this list, I'll be using my favorite stock research platform, Seeking Alpha, which you can get a 14-day free trial to at my link in the description. If you'd like to get a free spreadsheet giving more details on all 57 monthly paying dividend stocks, then you can sign up for my free monthly newsletter at the link in the description. I'll be sending out the spreadsheet at the end of the month for anyone who signs up. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into those monthly dividend stocks. The first and highest yielding monthly dividend paying stock we're going to look at is Armor Residential REIT, stock ticker ARR, currently trading at $5.03 per share. Now, this is not your typical REIT. This is actually a mortgage REIT. They invest in mortgages and mortgages-backed securities and related assets. So while typical REITs typically generate revenue through rents, mortgage REITs earn income from the interest on their investments. But we can see over the past year, this company's down about 25.5%, and over the past decade, down 86%. So very poor performance. They do have a starting dividend yield sitting at 19% currently, but also very high short interest, which is a little bit of a red flag. Now, if we look at the dividend history, we can see this company has cut dividends multiple times throughout the past decade, which is definitely not something you want to see from a dividend investor standpoint. So in my opinion, this is definitely a company I'm staying away from. The second monthly dividend paying company is stock ticker ORC, currently trading at $10.25 per share. We can see year to date, they've actually done decent, only down about 4%, but over the past year, down about 27.5%, and over the past 10 years, down 83.4%. Now, they have a starting dividend yield sitting at around 11%, but again, if we take a look at that dividend history, we're not going to like what we see. We can see, while it has jumped around a little bit, it's pretty clear that they have had a steadily declining dividend for quite some time now. The third monthly paying dividend company is Oxford Square Capital Corporation, stock ticker OXSQ, and this is an asset management company. We can see they're currently trading at $2.93, year to date down around 5%, but they have a starting dividend yield sitting at 14.33%, and actually over the past month, they've seen a little bit of a bump up around 8%, but if we look at the history of this company, they are down over 70%. If we look at the dividend history for this company, one of the things you'll notice is they used to actually pay their dividends out quarterly, but in 2019, they moved to monthly dividend payments. Since then, they've only had one dividend cut, but for the past 3 years, they've been able to pay out 4 cents every single month per share. The fourth monthly dividend paying stock we're going to look at is Agnc Investment Corporation. This is another mortgage REIT, and they're currently trading at $10.13 per share and have a starting yield sitting at 14.22%. Now, one thing I want to point out as well, short interest is currently sitting at about 4.51%, which is not something that I typically like to see. Now, over the past year, they're down about 11.37%. Year to date, down only 3%. But if we zoom all the way out, we can see over the past 10 years, down around 54%. And if we look at the dividend history, I'll scroll down. One of the things you'll notice is they did used to pay dividends quarterly, but they moved to monthly dividends in 2014. And since then, that dividend payment has slightly declined, going from 22 cents all the way down to 12 cents per share. The fifth monthly dividend paying stock is Permrock Realty Trust, stock ticker PRT, currently trading at around $6 per share, and it has a starting yield sitting at 13.76%. Now, I had to dig into this company a little bit more to learn more about them, but this is essentially a trust formed to own a perpetual interest in oil and natural gas producing properties. If we jump back over to Seeking Alpha, click on dividends and look at that dividend history, one of the things you'll notice is the dividend payments has fluctuated quite a bit, but if we zoom in and focus on just the past 3 years, they actually did have a period where they were able to increase dividends from 1 cent a share to around 10 cents per share. But since then, it has been steadily declining, but their most recent dividend payout was a little bit of an increase from their last dividend payout. The sixth monthly dividend paying company is Ellington Residential Mortgage REIT, stock ticker EARN, currently trading at $7.17 per share. This company has a starting dividend yield sitting at 13.39%, and they are down around 6% over the past year, but if we look at them year to date, they're actually up around 2.28%. And if we look at the dividend history, one of the things you'll notice, like a few of the companies we've seen, they used to pay out quarterly dividends, but they moved to a monthly dividend in late 2021, and since then they have had one dividend cut, but other than that, they have been consistently paying out around 8 cents per share. The seventh monthly dividend paying company is is Ellington Financial, stock ticker EFC, currently trading at $13.85. And again, this is another mortgage REIT. They currently have a starting yield sitting at around 7.58%. And again, I do need to point out the short interest a little bit high, sitting at around 7.27%. Over the past year, down around 9.5%. And year to date, they're actually up 10.18%. If we look at the dividend history for this company, you can see again, they used to pay out quarterly dividends, but they moved to a monthly dividend starting at around 2019. And since then, the dividend payouts have fluctuated quite a bit, as you can see, but it is actually a little bit higher currently than when they originally moved to monthly dividends. So that is a net positive. The 8th monthly dividend paying company we're going to look at is Dynex Capital, stock ticker DX, currently trading at $12.54 per share. Over the past year, they're down around 23%, and year to date, down around 3.4%. Now, they currently have a starting dividend yield sitting at around 7.26%, short interest sitting at 5.25%. Let's go ahead and look at that dividend history. And again, you can see they started paying monthly dividends in 2019, and at the time, they were paying out 18 cents per share every single month. And that's declined all the way down to 13 cents per share. So we have seen some dividend declines during that time period as well. The 9th monthly dividend paying company is Sabine Realty Trust, stock ticker SBR, currently trading at $64.86. This is another company that operates within the oil and gas industry. And over the past year, they're actually up 9.28%, but you can see they have been trending downward for the past few months. Year to date, they're down almost 18%. They have a starting dividend yield sitting at around 12.2%. And if we jump over to the dividend history and scroll down, you can see those dividend payouts fluctuate quite a bit. But over the past year, those dividend payouts have been quite a bit higher than they have been historically, which is obviously great for shareholders, but the past few have been a little bit lower than the most recent monthly dividend payouts. The 10th monthly dividend paying company we're going to look at is Northwest Healthcare Properties Real Estate Investment Trust, stock ticker NWHUF. Now, this is actually the first healthcare real estate investment trust that we've looked at in today's video, and they're currently trading at $4.96 per share, but over the past year, they have been on a huge decline, down almost 46.5%, and year to date, down almost 30%. They currently have a starting dividend yield sitting at around 12%, and if we jump over to look at their dividend history, you can see they've been decent about paying out those dividends over a long time period. It's typically been right at around 5 cents per share. If we scroll out just a little bit, you can see it did used to be higher, but for the past few years, it has been around 5 cents per share, pretty consistently. The 11th monthly dividend paying company is Pennant Park Floating Rate Capital, stock ticker PFLT. This is an asset management company. They're currently trading at $10.70 per share, starting yield sitting at around 11.5%. Over the past year, down around 10.76%. Year to date, down 3.43%. Now, this is actually the first company that we've looked at today that's actually been able to increase their dividends over the past few years. And while it's been a very slight increase, they have definitely increased it. If we scroll down and look at this dividend history, you can see the amounts right here. They're paying out around 10.25 cents per share. Before that, it was around 0.095 cents per share. Scroll down even further, and you can see that 0.095 cents per share was the amount they were paying out for quite some time. The 12th monthly dividend paying company we're looking at is SLR Investment Corporation, stock ticker SLRC, currently trading at $14.58 per share. They have a starting dividend yield sitting at 11.25%. Over the past year, they're actually up around 3.18%, and year to date, up around 3.26%. If we look at the dividend history for this company and scroll down again, you'll see this is another example of a company that used to pay quarterly, but recently made the switch to monthly dividend payouts. And since then, they've been able to consistently pay out 14 cents per share, which is a good sign starting out. The 13th monthly dividend paying company is actually a fairly popular one, and that is Prospect Capital Corporation, stock ticker PSEC, currently trading at $6.42 per share. The company's starting dividend yield is sitting at around 11.21%, and over the past year, they're down about 9.45%, and year to date, they're down about 8.68%. But really, for all of these companies, a better metric to be looking at is the total return. Since a lot of them pay out large amounts in dividends, we can see over the past 5 years, when you include the dividend payouts, they're actually up around 63.8%. If we look at the dividend history for this company, one of the things a lot of people like about is they haven't decreased their dividend payouts in quite some time. Over the past 5 years, they've been able to consistently pay out 6 cents per share every single month. If we zoom out a little bit more, we can see there have been a couple of dividend decreases during that time period, but for the most part, over the past 5, 6, or 7 years, they've done a pretty good job of paying out that steady dividend. The 14th monthly dividend paying company we're looking at is Cross Timbers Royalty Trust, stock ticker CRT, currently trading at $19.65 per share. And out of all the companies we've looked at so far, over the past year, they have the best return, up around 27.76%, and year to date, they're actually down around 19.63%. 8%. So they have seen a little bit of a drawback year to date. Starting dividend yield is sitting at around 11.18%. And if we look at the dividend history for this company, we will scroll down. You can see those dividend payouts have fluctuated quite a bit, but they have been trending upwards overall over the past 5 years with a couple of pretty large dividend payouts. The 15th monthly dividend paying company is Dinex Capital Investment Corporation, stock ticker SCM, currently trading at $14.47 per share. Over the past year, pretty good returns, up around 22.6%, and year to date up around 8.8%. You can see there's been a lot more trading volume over the past few months. Starting dividend yield currently sitting at around 9.44%. Let's go ahead and jump over to the dividend history, and you can see it's actually been trending upwards over the past few months, which is a great sign. And for the most part, they have a decent history of paying out the same amount in dividends over time, which is something a lot of people want to see when looking for monthly dividend paying options. The 16th monthly dividend paying stock is Generation Income Property, stock ticker GIPR, trading at $4.20. They have a starting dividend yield sitting at 11.61%. Now, one thing you'll notice is this is a relatively new company. It only started trading publicly in October of 2021, but since then they have been on a huge downtrend and they have had to cut their dividend during that time period as well. If we look at the dividend history, again, you'll see they used to pay quarterly. They moved to monthly dividends, but since then they did cut the dividend from 5 cents per share every single month to 4 cents per share every single month. The 17th monthly dividend paying stock is Horizon Technology Finance, stock ticker HRZN, currently trading at $12.79. Year to date, they're actually up around 9.2%, and over the past year, they've done decent, up around 7.89%. They have a starting yield sitting at 10.21%, and the company actually did announce some good news. Horizon Technology Finance originated 12% more new loans in Q2, which is great news for the company. If we look at the dividend history, one of the things you'll notice is a while back, they did actually have to have a slight dividend decrease, but as of 2023, they actually increased the amount they were paying out in dividends from the past few years, and overall, they haven't really missed any dividend payouts in quite some time, so that is a pretty good sign overall. So this does look like a decent opportunity. The 18th monthly dividend paying company is SL Green Realty Corporation. This is an office real estate investment trust. They're currently trading at $32.15. Over the past year, down around 28.24%, and year to date down around 5.75%. Now the company has a starting dividend yield sitting at 10.2%, but they have a massive short interest sitting at 24.35%. Definitely a pretty big red flag for me personally. If we look at the dividend history, you can see here it has fluctuated a little bit. They did pay out quarterly dividends, but if we zoom in just a little bit, for the most part, they've been paying out around 31 cents per share, but it has dipped down to around 27 cents per share. So they have had to cut that dividend a couple times over the last few years. The 19th monthly dividend paying company is Gladstone Capital, stock ticker GLAD, currently trading at $10.64. Over the past year, they are in the green, up around 3%. Year to date, up around 9.11%. And if we look at the past 5 years, up 15.5%. So decent overall for a monthly dividend paying company and for a business development company, because obviously they provide most of their returns in the form of dividends. They have a starting yield sitting at 9.43%. If we look at the dividend history, one of the things you'll notice is they've been pretty good about paying out dividends every single month. There was a slight decrease during 2020, but they have been able to bump it back up since then. If I scroll down just a little bit, for the most part, they've typically paid out around 7 cents per share every single month. It dipped down to around 6.5 cents per share during 2020, but as of now, that dividend is sitting at 8.25 cents per share. So we actually have seen some dividend increases over the past 5 years. The 20th monthly dividend paying company is Firm Capital Property Trust, stock ticker FRM. This is a diversified real estate investment trust, currently trading at $4.08, has a starting yield sitting at 9.49%. Now, over the past year, they're down about a 14.11%, and year to date, down around 2.28%. If we look at the dividend history for this company, you'll notice the dividend payouts fluctuate a little bit, but for the most part, it typically sits around 3 cents per share. The 21st monthly dividend paying company is Timber Creek Financial Corporation, stock ticker TBCRF, currently trading at $5.63 per share. Over the past year, down around 8.43%, and year to date, actually up around 7.41%. They have a starting dividend yield sitting at 9.12%. If we look at the dividend history for this company, again, you'll see it's a company that has had dividend payouts fluctuate, but for the most part, it has sat around 4 cents per share. The 22nd monthly dividend paying company is Gladstone Commercial Corporation, stock ticker GOOD, currently trading at $13.26 per share. Over the past year, down quite a bit, almost 29%, and year to date down almost 30%. Now the company has a starting yield sitting at 4.5%, with short interest climbing just a little bit, sitting at around 4.48%. If we look at the dividend history for this company, we can see they recently had a fairly large dividend cut. But if we look at the past 10 years, for the most part, they were paying out around 13 cents per share, but it's now sitting at around 10 cents per share. The 23rd monthly paying dividend stock is Pinecliff Energy, stock ticker PIFYF, currently trading at only $1.10 per share. This is a relatively new company. Over the past year, up around 1.85%, but year to date down around 5.58%. They have a starting dividend yield sitting at 8.46%, but something that is interesting about this company is although it does have a very short lifespan at the moment, they have been able to increase their dividend payouts over the last couple of years that they have existed. The 24th monthly dividend paying stock is Slate Grocery Real Estate Investment Trust, stock ticker SRRTF. They invest in retail real estate, and you can see they're currently trading at $10.09 per share. Over the past year, down around 7.35%, and year to date down around 9.13%, but they have a starting dividend yield sitting at 8.54%. And if we look at the dividend history, one of the things you will notice about this company is they've been pretty steadily paying out around 7 cents per share for the last 5 years, with the exception of 1 month in 2020, so it is nice to see some consistency. The 25th monthly paying dividend stock is Motive Incorporated, stock ticker MDV, currently trading at $13.79. They have a starting yield sitting at around 4.15%. Over the past year, down around 11%, and year to date, actually up around 14.6%. If we look at the dividend history, again, this is another company that has been pretty steadily paying out around 10 cents per share over the last few years. The 26th monthly dividend paying company is Diversified Realty Corporation, stock ticker BEVFF, currently trading at $2.21 per share. Their starting dividend yield is sitting right at 8%, and over the past year, they're actually up around 9.19%, and year to date up around 1.84%. If we take a look at that dividend history, you can see during 2020 they had a slight dividend increase, but it's growing by a little bit ever since then, up to around 2 cents per share as of right now. The 27th monthly dividend paying company is Smart Centers Real Estate Investment Trust, stock ticker CWYUF, currently trading at $18.51 per share. Over the past year, down around 13.5%, and year to date down 6.3%. Now the company has a starting dividend yield sitting at 7.4%, and if we look at the dividend history, one of the things you will notice is those dividend payments do fluctuate over time. If we zoom out and look at the past 10 years, for the most part, it has typically hovered over 10 cents per share every single month, and as of most recent dividend payment, it's around 12 cents per share. The 28th monthly dividend paying company is Fortitude Gold Corporation, stock ticker FTCO. I do believe this is the first gold company we've looked at today, but they're currently trading at $6.52. Over the past year, they're up around 9.5%, and year to date up around 15.18%, so pretty good year to date. If we look at that starting dividend yield, we can see they're sitting at around 7.25%, and if we look at this dividend history, come down here, you can see they have been consistently paying out 4 cents per share every single month since 2021. Now, this is a relatively new company. You can see they just started paying out dividends around May of 2021, so not a long dividend history. The 29th monthly dividend paying company is EPR Properties, stock ticker EPR, currently trading at $45.21 per share, and over the past year, they're down around 5.36%, but if we look at them year to date, they're up 22.65%. Now, the company has a starting dividend yield sitting at around 4.23%, and I would say, I think as of right now, this dividend actually is pretty safe. If we look at the dividend safety, come down here, and we can see the forward-looking FFO payout ratio sitting at around 67.54, which is pretty good for a REIT. And if we look at this dividend history, you will see they didn't pay out any dividends during 2020, but around 2021, they started paying out around 25 cents per share, and it's now jumped up to around 28 cents per share. The 30th monthly dividend paying company is TransAlta Renewables Incorporated, stock ticker TRSWF, currently trading at $10.01 per share, and over the past year, they're down around 22.5%, and year to date, actually up 21.5%. We can see they have a starting dividend yield sitting around 7.04%, and if we look at that dividend history, one of the things you'll notice is the payouts again do fluctuate a little bit, but for the most part, it sits around 6 cents per share. The 31st monthly paying dividend company is Gladstone Investment, stock ticker GAIN, trading at $13.69 per share. Now you can see over the past year, they've actually traded flat, and year to date, they're up around 8.57%. Now trading at this price gives them a starting dividend yield sitting at 7.7%, and if we jump over to that dividend history. I'll scroll down. Again, you'll see the payments fluctuate a little bit. They've had a few special dividends, but for the most part, their dividend payments sit at around 8 cents per share. The 32nd monthly paying dividend company is actually one of the most popular monthly dividend paying companies. That is Main Street Capital, stock ticker MAIN, currently trading at $41.23 per share, and they have a starting dividend yield sitting at 6.76%. We can see over the past year up around 4.37%, and year to date up 12.8%. Now, there's a few different reasons this company is so popular for people looking for monthly dividends. If we zoom out and see 5 years and 10 years, they've had a pretty good history of increasing their share price. But if we dig into that dividend history, one of the things you'll notice is they've done a pretty good job of increasing the amount they pay in dividends over time. We can see 10 years ago, their dividend payments were sitting at around 15 cents per share. Jump forward to now, it's now around 23 cents per share every single quarter. If we look at those dividend growth rates, that means for a monthly dividend paying company, while it's not super high, seeing dividend growth that is consistent is pretty rare, so that is a good sign for the company, and the dividends also seem to be safe. The 33rd monthly dividend paying company is LTC Properties, stock ticker LTC, currently trading at $34.06 per share. Over the past year, they're down almost 14%, and year to date, down around 4.7%. They have a starting dividend yield sitting at 6.67%, and if we look at the dividend history for this company, they've been pretty steadily paying out around 19 cents per share. The 34th monthly dividend paying stock is Apple Hospitality REIT Incorporated, stock ticker APLE, currently trading at $15.21 per share, and over the past year, it's traded somewhat flat. It's almost up 1%, but year to date it is down slightly, almost down 2%. Now, the company has a starting dividend yield sitting at around 6.32%, and if we look at their dividend history, I'll scroll down just a little bit. You can see during around 2020, they didn't pay out much in dividends, but before that, they had a pretty consistent track record of paying out around 10 cents per share. Now, as of now, they restarted paying out that dividend and started at around 5 cents per share, but they have been increasing it. So eventually, I do suspect that they will get it back to around 10 cents per share. The 35th monthly paying dividend company is Kiera Corporation, stock ticker KEYUF, currently trading at $23.27 per share. Over the past year, down around 3%, and year to date, up around 11.2%. This company has a starting dividend yield sitting at around 6.17%. And if we look at their dividend history, I'll go ahead and scroll down, and you can see the dividend payments do fluctuate just a little bit, but for the most part, it typically sits around 11 to 12 cents per share. And most recently, they paid out a special dividend in June. The 36th monthly paying dividend company is Primaris Real Estate Investment Trust, stock ticker PMREF, currently trading at $9.95 per share. And over the past year, they're up around 5.4%, and year to date, down quite a bit, around 14.4%, but they do have a starting dividend yield sitting at around 6.05%. If we look at the dividend history for this company, I'll scroll down, and you can see the dividend payments fluctuate just a little bit, but for the most part, it's sitting at around 5 cents per share, with the most recent being 5.14 cents per share. The 37th monthly paying dividend company is CT Real Estate Investment Trust, stock ticker CTRRF, currently trading at $11.03 per share. Now, over the past year, they are down quite a bit, almost 19.2%, and year to date, down around 6.79%, but they do have a starting dividend yield sitting at 5.91%. Now, if we actually look at their dividend growth rates, we can see they have been increasing their dividends, with their 3-year dividend CAGR sitting at around 4% and the 5-year sitting at around 3%. So when we look at the dividend history, again, obviously the dividend payments fluctuate a little bit, but for the most part, they have been able to increase those dividend payments by just a little bit over the past few years. The 38th monthly paying dividend company is RioCan Real Estate Investment Trust, stock ticker RIOCF, currently trading at $15 even per share. Over the past year, they're down around 1.25%, and year to date, down around 3%. The company has a starting dividend yield sitting at 5.23%. And if we look at this dividend history, again, you will see there was a dividend cut in 2020, like a lot of real estate investment trusts. But since then, they've been paying out around 6 to 7 cents per share every single month. The 39th monthly paying dividend company is H&R Real Estate Investment Trust, stock ticker HRUFF, currently trading at $7.86 per share. Over the past year, they are down around 17.44%, and year to date, down almost 12%. The company has a starting dividend yield sitting at 5.45%. And if we jump over to their dividend history tab, I'll scroll down, and you can see again, like a lot of real estate investment trusts, they did cut their dividend during 2020. They've had a couple of special dividends since then, but they have been paying out around 4 cents per share over the past few months. The 40th monthly paying dividend company is Maxis Realty Trust, stock ticker MRTI, currently trading at $135 per share. Over the past year, they're up around 3%, and year to date, down almost 39%. Now, I actually had to do some digging to find information on this company because Seeking Alpha was missing a lot of data. So I jumped into Yahoo Finance. It looks like they have a starting dividend yield sitting at around 5.5%, 5.33%. But here's what's interesting. If we look at this dividend history, they did have a pretty good history of paying out dividends every single month. But if we look at 2023, it looks like they've only paid out one special dividend in 2023. So maybe they won't be a monthly dividend paying company for much longer. The 44th monthly paying dividend company is Paramount Resources, stock ticker PRMRF, currently trading at $21.61. And they have seen really nice share price appreciation over the past few years. Over the past year, up 13.28%. Year to date, they're up around 19%. And if we look at the past 5 years, up over 100%. And keep in mind, all of that comes along with a really nice starting dividend yield, up around 4.68%. And if we dig into that dividend history a little bit, I'll scroll down. You can see for the most part, it looks like they pay out around 9 cents per share every single month. But at the beginning of 2023, they did pay out a one-time special dividend that was way higher than their typical dividend payout. The 42nd monthly dividend paying company is Realty Income Corporation, stock ticker O. This is a company that's probably the most popular monthly paying company because they are known as the monthly dividend company. They're currently trading at $61.29 per share. Now, over the past year, they haven't seen great share price appreciation. They're down around 11%, and year to date, down about 4.67%, but over the last 10 years, they've done decent, up around 38.55%, especially when you consider the total return would also include dividends, which at their current price, they have a starting yield sitting at around 5%. Now, I do want to point out that these dividends are relatively safe. If we look at the dividend safety tab and look at the FFO forward-looking payout ratio, it's sitting at around 73.5%, so this is pretty safe dividend payouts. But what's really beautiful about this company is their dividend history. If we zoom all the way out, we can see they have a very amazing history of increasing the amount they pay in dividends year over year. If they're able to continue to do this, then the share price will definitely follow. The 43rd monthly paying dividend company is Whinstone Real Estate Investment Trust, stock ticker WSR, currently trading at $9.90 per share. And over the past year, they're down around 7.28%, and year to date, they are up slightly, up around 1.55%. They have a starting dividend yield sitting at around 4.89%. Let's go ahead and dig into that dividend history, and you can see they did have a pretty massive dividend cut in 2020, going from around 10 cents per share to around 4 cents per share. So that was an over 50% cut. You can see since then it has increased slightly, still sitting around 4 cents per share, but getting closer to 5. The 45th monthly paying dividend stock is stock ticker PBT, currently trading at $24.42 per share. And over the past year, it has done very, very well, up over 55%. Year to date, up around 9.3%. The company has a starting dividend yield sitting at 4.63%. What's interesting is if we look at the dividend history for this company, you can see, again, the dividend payouts fluctuate quite a bit, but at the beginning of 2022, those dividend payouts jumped up by a large amount, but it has since come down quite a bit. But you can see it is still quite a bit higher than it was during the period of 2020 through 2021. As of right now, their most recent dividend payout was 5 cents per share. The 46th monthly paying dividend stock is Agnc Realty Corporation, stock ticker ADC. This is one of the more popular monthly dividend paying companies. They're currently trading at $65.72. Over the past year, down around 12%, and year to date, down around 7%. Now, the dividend yield on Seeking Alpha is showing 2.21%. That is actually not correct. I'll quickly show you why. If we jump over to the dividend history, scroll down a little bit, you can see right here, for the past few months, they've been paying out around 24 cents per share every single month. So if you take that 24, multiply it by 12, and divide it by the current share price, you'll actually see that the starting dividend yield is sitting closer to around 4.38%. Now, this company did used to pay quarterly, but they moved to monthly dividends at the beginning of 2021, and the dividend payments have increased slightly ever since that time period. The 47th monthly dividend paying stock is Northland Power Incorporated, stock ticker NPIFF. Now, this company actually operates within the utility sector, which we haven't seen many of those companies in this list so far, but we can see over the past year, they're down almost 35%, and year to date, down over 26%. They have a starting dividend yield sitting at around 4.49%. Let's go ahead and jump over to the dividend history, and again, you'll see dividend payments do fluctuate a little bit. And as of the most recent dividend payment, it looks like they're paying out around 8 cents per share, but again, keep in mind that will fluctuate a little bit. The 48th monthly dividend paying stock is Tamarack Valley Energy, stock ticker TNEYF, currently trading at $2.70 per share. Over the past year, down around 13.18%, year to date, down almost 11%, but they have had a little bit of a bounce back over the past month, up around 12.5%. The company has a starting dividend yield sitting at 3.78%. If we look at the dividend history, I'll scroll down, you can see the dividend payments have actually been increasing over the past few years by just a little bit. If I scroll down just a little bit further, you can see the most recent dividend payment was not quite at 1 cent per share, but scroll down, look a little bit earlier into 2022, and you can see there has been decent dividend growth overall. The 49th monthly paying dividend stock is Stag Industrial, stock ticker STAG, currently trading at $37.97. Again, this is one of the much more popular monthly dividend paying stocks, and we can see over the past year it's up around 28.5%, year to date up over 17%, and it does have a pretty good history of seeing share price appreciation long term. The company has a starting dividend yield sitting at 3.89%. Let's go ahead and jump into that dividend history. You can see they've been increasing dividend payments for over 10 consecutive years. So when I zoom out, you can see they did used to pay out quarterly, but ever since around 2013, they've had a good history of slowly increasing the amount they pay in dividends over time without any dividend cuts, which is a very beautiful thing to see. The 50th monthly paying dividend stock is BSR Real Estate Investment Trust, stock ticker BSRTF, currently trading at $13.94 a share. Over the past year, they're down around 7.7%. Year to date, up 5.5%, and they have a starting dividend yield sitting at 3.42%. And you can see, actually over the past month, they've done really well, up almost 9.5%. Let's go ahead and look at that dividend history. I'll scroll down, and you can see their most recent dividend payment was around 4 cents per share, and for the most part, they have been sitting right at that level, with the exception of a special dividend paid out in 2020. The 51st monthly paying dividend stock is Flagship Communities Real Estate Investment Trust, stock ticker MHCUF, currently trading at $15.18 per share. Over the past year, you can see it's traded pretty flat with a little volatility, and year to date, it's down around 7.8%. Now you can see Seeking Alpha isn't showing the dividend grades here, so we do need to jump over to Yahoo Finance, but you can see they have a starting dividend yield sitting at around 3.6%. Let's go ahead and jump into that dividend history. We can see it looks like they have been increasing their dividend payments over the past 4 to 5 years. It went from 4.3 cents per share all the way up to 4.7 cents per share. The 52nd monthly paying dividend stock is Phillips Edison and Company, stock ticker PECO, currently trading at $33.88 per share. Over the past year, they're down around 2%. Year to date, up around 6.74%, and they have a starting dividend yield sitting at around 2.23%. We jump into their dividend history. We can see they have done a pretty good job of paying out steady dividends every single month. The company hasn't existed for that long. It just started paying out dividends in 2021, but for the most part, they've been paying out around 9 cents per share. The 53rd monthly paying dividend stock is Gladstone Land Corporation, stock ticker LAND, currently trading at $17.03 per share. Over the past year, they're down around 29%, and year to date, down over 10%. They have a starting dividend yield sitting at 3.34%. If we jump over to that dividend history, you'll see they actually have a decent history of increasing dividends around 8 years in a row, and they've been very consistent with those monthly dividend payouts. The 54th monthly paying dividend stock is stock ticker SISXF, currently trading at $12.50 per share, and over the past year they've done very well, up around 27%, year to date up around 21.12%, and they have a starting dividend yield sitting at 3.08%. If we jump into the dividend history, I'll scroll down, and you can see those dividend payments have been increasing over the past 5 years. If we can see in 2018 it was around 2 cents per share. Jump forward to now, it's more like 3 or even 4 cents per share. The 55th monthly paying dividend stock is US Global Investor, stock ticker GROW, currently trading at $3.20 per share. Over the past year, they're down around 25%, and year to date, they're actually up around 10%. They have a starting dividend yield sitting at around 2.81%. If we look at the dividend history, one of the things you'll see is they actually do a pretty good job of increasing the amount they pay in dividends over time. Now, those dividend payments are pretty small, but you can see there is no doubt they are definitely increasing as time goes by. The 56th monthly paying dividend stock is Canadian Apartment Properties Real Estate Investment Trust, stock ticker CDPYF, currently trading at $39.72. Over the past year, they're up around 22.11%, and year to date, up almost 26%. Their starting dividend yield is sitting at 2.7%. If we look at the dividend history for this company, I'll scroll down. You can see again, this is an example of a real estate investment trust whose payouts fluctuate just a little bit, but for the most part, they pay around 9 to 10 cents per share. The 57th monthly paying dividend stock is Global Water Resources, stock ticker GWRS. This is one of the other companies that is within the utility sector, and you can see they're currently trading at $13 per share. Over the past year, down around 5.5%, and year to date, down around 5.11%. Their starting dividend yield is sitting at around 2.27%, and if we look at that dividend history, I'll scroll down, you can see for the most part, it looks like they pay out around 2 cents per share every single month. So there you go, those were all 57 monthly paying dividend stocks. If you'd like to get a free spreadsheet giving more details on all 57 monthly paying dividend stocks, then you can sign up for my free monthly newsletter at the link in the description. I'll be sending out the spreadsheet at the end of the month for anyone who signs up. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.